What's up, everybody? I had to scroll up and see that I was actually live here on Facebook. But yeah, as promised, I wanted to go chapter by chapter and talk more about my book, Public Relations for Musicians, and try and keep it as non self promo as possible and just kind of dive into the different topics that it covers. But the first intro part I call An Unexpected Life of Public Relations. I like hearing about how people got into what they're doing. It's you always hear about your friends and you're like, oh, wow, that's such a cool job that you have. How did you get into that? And that's the stuff that I love the most. And when I read these cool business books and talk to friends, and when we used to go out and go places and meet people in real life, I would always ask people, I'm like, how did you get into this thing? Like, what led you to where you are today? And it's always like a really cool story. Most people don't go on Craigslist and apply for the job of publicist or realtor or any kind of job that's out there. And my story of getting into PR was really interesting because for a lot of my friends that have known me a long time, they know that I used to tour and be in a band and sit in the van and do all that thing. And it hit a point where I just personally I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't be on the road, hundreds of days a year and do all that thing. But I still had a love for music. And this is 2006, I believe, early 2006, mid 2006. I actually went back to work a for Fidelity, like mortgage title kind of stuff. And when I was there, I don't even remember how, but I got a job at Pure Volume. And some of you might remember that website. Brad and Brett, thank you guys. And you guys kind of got my start in that whole music media thing and took a chance on me. But they were based out of Boston at the time, and they gave me a remote position working for them, and I got to help out a lot of really cool bands and fly out to Boston and do really cool shit and work out of my living room in Costa Mesa. And that really like got me in the spirit of working remotely, which I do now. And that's just how I'm used to doing things. And it's kind of odd that with everything with lockdown, it's like so many people are learning to work from home, and some people can do it and some people can't. And I don't blame them, but I've just been doing this so long that I wouldn't have it any other way. And but it didn't last long when I worked at Pure Volume because they did ask me to move to Boston, and I just couldn't do it at the time for various reasons. And I don't have any regrets on that. I wonder like what would Boston been like, but they eventually moved to California anyways. But at that point, I reached out to Fearless Records, and I don't remember why I felt inclined to do it. I knew they were a cool label and they had a lot of really really cool bands, and I wrote them a letter explaining why I felt I should work for them. And I think that's how I did it for Pure Volume as well. Like they didn't have any open positions from what I remember, and I just really wanted to work there. I stumbled upon it. It was totally impulsive. I don't know if it was after a glass of wine or a beer, and I'm just like, I need to work at this fucking place. This is going to be awesome. This is for me. And I wrote them a note, and I think maybe Todd got back to me or somebody at the company and brought me in for an interview. And I accepted a job there, and it was really cool. And I was really intimidated. I came from being in a band, playing music for a living, and, playing hardcore metal for a living. It's just like an intense, interesting lifestyle where you have to switch back into a different way of working. And I don't even remember what they hired me for, what the position was. I knew that it was called new media at the time. And at that point, I had no idea what PR was, what public relations was. I would see all these cool bands, Norma Jean and Hatebreed and other bands that, would be in alternative press in these magazines. And I just thought it was just organic that the people at the magazines chose everything. And if you were signed to a cool label, you automatically got in these magazines because you were cool enough. And boy, was I wrong. That's not how it works most of the time. If you reach a certain level of success, yes, you're going to get featured no matter what because they will be going to you because that brings value to their publication or to their website. But for anybody else that is not uber famous in their own regard as an independent or a major label artist, you have to have a publicist pushing you. But when I worked at Fearless, we had a publicist at the time, Joyce, who kicked ass and did everything on the print side. And my job of doing new media stuff was to get things featured on the internet. And at the time, it was very new. This is 2006, 2007, and it feels like it was yesterday, but things were so different back then, 13 years ago. And I remember working with um, the label on doing the very first mobile website, and that's totally not my thing. I think I hit up my buddy Jim, and he helped us build this mobile site, and they ran an ad for it in Alternative Press, and I felt so cool. And I it was just an idea. I don't take a lot of credit for it, but it was at the time a sign of like where things were going. You had MySpace, I believe, and Pure Volume and Buzznet and all these different really cool sites that were featuring bands. And besides getting a review or a feature on these sites, we had to figure out cool ways to get these bands um, featured online. I wasn't dealing with any of the print, and they went hand in hand. But at the time, I don't even think I knew how PR worked. I was just doing a job and learning how to do it. And because I worked at Fearless Records, I had a shoe in with a lot of these people. So I feel very lucky that I had that opportunity. And I basically used my band card to get that job and didn't go to school. I didn't go to communication school, get a communications degree anywhere. And if anything, I learned over the years about a lot of that stuff. It's kind of like jumping in the plane and pretending that you're a pilot and then reading the instruction manual as you're flying. And it, that's not always how it works, but it's definitely a testament to if you really want to figure something out and you want to get a job or have a career in something, you don't always have to take that same path that everyone else takes. You just gotta take the leap and the net will appear, as they say. But you figure it out. You ask people, you make friends, you just be vulnerable and be candid and say, like, I don't know shit about this. Can you help me? Do you have 5 minutes? Can I pay you for your time as a consultant? And I to this day, I think I saw somebody just post about things that they've learned in life as an executive, and it's like you don't know anything, and that's my mentality most of the time. There's days where I feel really good and I'm like, yeah, I got this figured out. But for the most part, like I am learning something new every day. And that Fearless Records experience working as a publicist there, online publicist, AKA new media, really humbled me because I had to just learn as I went. And I knew I was really lucky to be there. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I think because of that, I got the itch to keep going with that. And I had no clue that before I took that job that I would be doing PR this long. And to this day, still learning and still growing and finding new ways and working with some great people and some great clients. But um, after the Fearless Records thing, I worked for a company called Authentic Artists, which was founded by my friend Scott Austin, who was obviously my boss at the time. And we had it was a startup basically, and he was over at Maverick and Capital, and we ended up signing a lot of really cool bands, and I handled all the marketing and PR for that as well, and we got into licensing, and I just learned so much from that experience, and um, eventually started consulting for people on behalf of that company and on my own after that. And it's just funny how you reach out to somebody one day and it ends up as a job. You don't even know really what the job is, and then it turns into this consulting career that you wouldn't have had if you didn't just send that one email. So it's if there's something that's interesting you like in life, as a career, especially right now. I'm not trying to like dish advice on career stuff, but I know it's really really hard out there right now, and it's a lot of people are trying to figure out new paths or to get back into the path that they're on, or maybe not being able to go out as much and do this stuff. It's really humbled me. I'm like, at home working a lot, and it really makes me think about what's important to me and what I want to do with my life as well. And, I think that there's a lot of people that if they really want to, chase that new career path, it's like, why not right now? Why not network those people that are doing what you want to do and ask them questions and figure out how you can go down that path as well. So, anyways, back to the book. This intro chapter is really just about that, like how I took that leap and worked for Fearless and worked for some other companies like Authentic Artists, and how I fell into that position, because I think that's a really interesting part of anyone's career. It's like if you read a Tim Ferriss book, or watch Mark Cuban on Shark Tank. It's like, how did that guy get started? Like, where did he go to wind up where he is today, like Elon Musk? It's like, I like reading about that stuff. I think it's interesting. So that's how I started off my book, and I hope you guys enjoy that if you pick it up. And if you have any questions about, PR in general, or even how to get going in a new career path, it's like taking risks is definitely where it's at, and it's totally worth it. And yeah, I'm here to help you if you have any questions. So yeah, have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you guys next time.